Activating combat mode. Pulse armor down. Now's your chance, Raven. I've taken your comms link offline for now. That massive...
Hello, and welcome to Tyler Does Gaming. On the microphone for the very first time today to talk to you all about a couple of my favorite weapons in Armored Core 6, including a build I will share that utilizes them, a breakdown of what makes them so good, and what makes them so good together. The first of the two weapons I want to discuss is the VP-67LD Laser Dagger. The Laser Dagger has a number of notable properties. It attacks very fast, does quite good damage for that speed, has a higher than average direct hit adjustment, and being able to choose the number of swings you want to execute allows for a lot of combo potential. However, the most important stat that makes the Laser Dagger incredible is its cooling stat. With the highest cooling stat of any weapon in the game, it is able to be used nearly back-to-back with only a short period in between attacks. This allows for some incredible combos that I will get into more later in the video. The second weapon that I want to discuss is the Wuerger 66E Laser Shotgun. Being the lighter of the two laser shotguns, the Wuerger might seem somewhat unimpressive at first glance. However, after giving it a chance on numerous builds and practicing the combo potential with its charge shots, I believe it may be one of the strongest weapons in the game after the 1.03.1 balance patch. The pressure and burst potential of this weapon combined with the right generators is simply incredible. Using the updated numbers from the latest balance patch, patch 1.03.1, let's compare the raw numbers of the Wuerger to the most popular kinetic variant of shotgun, the Zimmerman. Accounting for reload time, the Zimmerman has a true damage per second value of 400 and an accumulated impact per second value, or AIPS, of 180. Due to using the cooling system instead of a reload system, the Wuerger's DPS is a little bit more difficult to pin down. With how we will be utilizing the Wuerger, I am going to cheat a little bit here. The vast majority of ACs, even heavier ones with more stability, such as those you can see footage of later in the video, will be staggered in 10 shots or less. This works out really well for dual-wield Wuergers because they hit their cooling limit on the 6th shot, meaning we can rapidly fire up to 11 total shots while keeping the right-hand Wuerger from overheating. So I am going to assume for the Wuerger's damage per second and accumulated impact per second calculations that cooling is effectively ignored due to how we will utilize the weapons. This type of calculation is usually referred to as the basic DPS value. Calculating then the basic DPS value using the Wuerger fire rate of 1.1 comes out to 554.4 basic DPS. Now, if we include the 25% damage bonus from the VE-20B generator, the Wuerger is able to put out 693 basic damage per second. Doing the same for accumulated impact with the fire rate of 1.1 gets us a number of 158.4 accumulated impact per second. So as you can see, at a basic DPS level, the Wuerger is quite comparable to the Zimmerman. A little bit less accumulated impact for a little more damage output in a burst scenario, with the trade-off of requiring the right generator. Of course, if we begin factoring in cooling, this puts the Wuerger quite substantially lower than the Zimmerman. However, for the purposes of this build, we really only care about basic DPS and AIPS, and for that purpose, the Wuerger is an excellent choice. Now, I would like to share what makes the Wuerger not just a good weapon, but a great weapon: its charged attack. With the VE-20B generator reducing charge time by 50%, the charge attack only requires 300 milliseconds to activate. Clocking in at a raw attack power of 1,459, or 1823 when you factor in the generator bonus, it hits very, very hard for how quickly it can be activated. With a 100-meter range and no travel time, it is almost impossible to dodge as well. The charge attack can be used to great effect for punishing a stagger or to finish off a weakened opponent. Now at this point, I would like to discuss the first of two ACs that I have built with the Laser Dagger and Wuerger in mind. The first one, codenamed MOONSHOT, is a light to medium weight AC that spends most of its item weight and EN budget on defenses, allowing it to stay in very close range without losing the stagger trait against most opponents. As you can see, I am dual wielding the Wuerger shotguns with a laser dagger swap on the back left shoulder. The right shoulder slot is equipped with the basic plasma missiles. They were selected due to their low weight and EN load, while still maintaining a good consistent amount of pressure. There isn't a large pool of good alternatives here, but some decent options are the laser orbit, the vertical variant of the plasma missiles, or one of the lighter variants of the standard missiles, such as the P03 MLT-06. Next up, I've selected the Mind Beta head. While it did receive a slight system recovery nerf with the 1.03.1 balance patch, Mind Beta is still one of the more stat-dense heads. I have chosen this head particularly for its high stability stat, which I consider a very important stat for a close-range build, and for its very low EN cost, which helps with EN supply recovery. The VE-40A core is chosen here for its raw defensive spread, providing the highest AP of any core combined with excellent defenses and higher than average stability. Other good choices if you want more speed are the HAL-826 core or the Ephemera core. Next up, the Basho arms are chosen for one reason, and that is of course the melee specialization stat, which provides an additional 29% damage to the laser dagger's attacks. I will explain more on why this is a good choice for this build, and why its very low firearm specialization does not impact the Wuergers to a large degree later on. The Wrecker legs are chosen primarily for their higher than average defenses, including the highest stability stat for bipedal legs. These legs received a massive 1000 AP buff and a 50 stability buff in the 1.03.1 balance patch. If you are looking for more raw speed on your AC, the Ephemera legs are a good choice as a balance between dropped weight and lost defenses, including a minimal loss in stability. If you have the weight control OS tuning, you can even squeeze on the Firmeza legs to drop over 10,000 weight for a massive increase in speed that comes with a commensurate loss of defenses and stability. The booster I have chosen for this build, and really for any build that I can make it fit, is the NGI 001 booster. The NGI 001 has a strong upward thrust, a strong basic thrust, decent melee attack thrust, and the most powerful quick boosts available. The NGI 001 is a very well-balanced booster, but if you have the need for more raw speed, both the Alula booster and the PSPD booster are also very good choices. The FCS on this build is the FC006 Abbot. It is a low-cost FCS with a high close-range tracking stat, which is what is most important to this build. The other FCS option would be the Oculus. While it is a perfectly fine alternative, I don't feel the extra points in close-range tracking are missed, and I personally prefer to keep the amount of EN load free for more supply efficiency. Lastly, I have squeezed all of these parts onto the VE-20B generator for the large damage and charging speed boost it provides for the Wuergers. Using this generator and all of these parts does leave us with a barely passable level of EN supply efficiency. This is something that can be worked around with careful play, but if you find yourself having trouble managing your energy, consider a leg or core swap that I mentioned earlier to increase your EN supply efficiency. An alternative generator would be the VE-20C with its 128 energy firearm specialization stat. While the VE-20C is a very solid option in general, I feel like it isn't needed on this build due to the relatively low EN cost weaponry that we are using, especially since the VE-20C would require great sacrifices in defenses in order to maintain the 75k weight threshold. Now we get into the good stuff, using all of these tools to ruin your enemy's day. This first combo you can pull off with these weapons. You start by using the shotguns to stagger the enemy, swapping to the dagger to start the combo, followed by the right-hand Wuerger charged attack as a finisher. This does a very high amount of burst to a staggered enemy. It really helps for pulling off this combo if you fire your right-hand Wuerger to stagger while swapping your left-hand weapon to the dagger. This isn't strictly required, but it does extend the opening slightly. This next combo is better used against enemies with a little bit more health remaining when the combo begins, and it takes a bit more practice to pull off. Start the combo with 2 laser dagger slashes, followed by an assault boost kick, 2 more laser dagger slashes, and finally the Wuerger blast. Kicks have a very short stun to them, and if you time this right, they will be locked down right up to the point where the final laser dagger hit comes out. The enemy will be able to move and potentially dodge the Wuerger blast, but it is a very difficult attack to dodge as long as you are close enough. If done correctly, this ends up being a bit more damage than the basic combo, with a kick and 1 more dagger slash, but it is more difficult to pull off. To make this combo work, you must be extremely quick to begin it the moment the enemy is staggered. Depending on positioning and how you triggered the enemy stagger, it may not be possible to do either of the full combos. If you believe you have too little time to pull off a full combo, a single dagger slash or 2 dagger slashes followed by a Wuerger charge shot is still a very solid punish. Before we continue, I just want to note that the upcoming clips may contain gameplay or story spoilers. Now let's take a look at the overall flow of combat versus some mobile opponents. Pressure and work on the stagger bar with the plasma missiles and shotguns. Assault armor to counter the pulse armor, and finish with a full combo. Notice how the enemy AC is able to attempt to dodge the charge shot but is unable to do so. Here is a look at a much faster opponent. Alternate your shotgun blasts in order to force the enemy to use their energy constantly. Set up the stagger and combo to finish. Again, even with a much faster AC, the quick boost is not enough to avoid the Wuerger blast. I'm going to play back and slow down this clip a little bit to highlight something that I mentioned earlier regarding the Basho arms. Their low firearm specialization stat is really not much of an issue, even against faster opponents. At the optimal Wuerger range of 70 to 80 meters, you can see that a high amount of the shotgun spray hits the enemy AC as long as they're not quick boosting. A lot of the comments I've read about the Wuerger have noted that its bullet spread makes it a suboptimal choice, since a portion of the spray will miss a lot of the time. However, I consider that a positive attribute because it really helps to get at least partial shots on very fast opponents, as you can see here.
Main system activating combat mode.
Even a shield and tetrapod levels of stability is not enough to handle how oppressive this AC is. Most notable here, even with those advantages, the Wuergers did not need to cool before applying the full combo. Really quickly, I would like to highlight a large part of why these weapons synergize so well together. Revisiting the clip from the intro of this video, you can see the finisher on Balteus. The Wuerger charge shot weaves perfectly between the laser dagger attacks. This works fantastically against all of the larger bosses in the game. The damage output is so high that Balteus was unable to activate his shield for Phase 2. MOONSHOT is absolutely incredible for the entirety of the single-player game, and while I have spent a fair bit of time being very successful with this AC in PvP as well, that was mostly prior to the 1.03.1 balance patch. The meta has shifted quite a bit in the latest patch, putting this medium weight class AC at a bit of a disadvantage. However, I still have maintained a very respectable win rate. Here are some of the highlights. This first opponent is using dual aperitifs, a Treno, and a Coral missile launcher. A missile boat like this on a high-speed, lightweight base is exactly what you can expect from the new meta. Using all of my energy for assault boost to keep the enemy in close range, the Wuergers and Laser Dagger make quick work of such a lightweight AC. This next opponent is a closer range build, which is truly at a disadvantage compared to MOONSHOT's high DPS and high defenses. An early stagger forces my opponent to assault armor, which I counter with an assault armor of my own, and use the dagger to finish. The Laser Dagger's short cooldown is very strong for situations like this. Another close-range enemy, this time with a slightly tankier build. The full combo here is very satisfying to pull off. The final opponent I have for this video is using pistols and dual Huxleys, a very oppressive close-range build in its own right. I assault boosted right past them at the start to make sure they burn a little bit more of their Huxley's short duration. Becoming staggered twice in such a short period shows just how powerful the pistols really are. But in the end, MOONSHOT is too much of a defensive monster for them to take down. Alright, now I would like to share another energy build that I have been toying with that also revolves around the Laser Dagger and the Wuerger. This new AC, codename MOONDIAL, will hopefully be able to dial into the new meta around the speed and more long-distance play. Taking the AC MOONSHOT as a base, I have swapped the core for the HAL 826 core for a slight speed boost, the legs for the ephemera legs for even more speed, the left-hand Wuerger for the laser handgun, swapped the plasma missiles out for the laser orbit for more consistent pressure in both close and mid-range. The arms are swapped to the VP-46D for a much better balance of melee and firearm specialization, and for a little boost in recoil control. Lastly, the FCS has been swapped to the G2P05 to provide tracking for the close and mid mixed style of combat with a high emphasis on the mid-range. The goal of this AC is to have enough speed to gain primary control over the engagement range, poking from medium range to build up the enemy stagger bar with the handgun and the laser orbit, and then closing to finish with the Wuerger combos we saw earlier. I haven't done a huge amount of testing with this build yet, but I was excited to share it alongside the rest of this info about the Laser Dagger and the Wuerger shotgun. That is all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helped you learn something about the VP-67LD Laser Dagger and the Wuerger 66E shotgun. If you enjoyed this video, I would honestly love to hear about it in the comments, and even better, if you did not enjoy this video, I would still love to hear about why in the comments. Again, I hope you enjoyed this info about Armored Core 6, and here's some additional combat footage. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Enemy coral response. Silent.
Wait. It's coming back.
It's reactivating.
Is this what the IPIS series is truly capable of?
It's resonating with living in coral, drawing power from its environment. It won't stop until we destroy its generator.
You've nearly got it, 621. You're the only one who can finish the job.
Enemy generator compromised.
It's gonna blow. Get out of there, 621. Is it over, 621? Is that Sula?
survived a little longer. You had a different master.
C1249. So, he's an independent mercenary.
Walter.
Give me the head squad. There's an AC behind us.
That's the Juggernaut, a heavy mobile cannon. I wouldn't recommend taking it head-on. It won't be able to keep up with Steel Haze. I'll distract it while you hit its blind spot. That's the stuff. Walter knows it. This is V4. Understood. Raven, I just got an update from Snail at command. The corporation's orders. No. My friend's mission. Eliminate all obstacles.
Whatever they did, you're in danger.